Let's briefly open up with this video talking about the suspected murderer, James Holmes. We've already spoken a little bit about, we made the connection through the red hair. And you should be able to realize, especially from the media footage of the trial, that this man is a scapegoat. This young man is a scapegoat. He was literally drugged up, out of his mind, bug-eyed, had really no idea what was going on. And, you know, the red-haired dyed thing is really just telling you whose signature is all over this thing. It's symbolage, once again, for the house of Jacob. And when I mean that the signature is literally all over this thing, you'll realize that. It's just like with what we saw with the supposed murder, the enacted ritual sacrifice, Sandy Hook. And the address, even of the place, is like a signature telling you who's the author of this conspiracy. The address was 12 Dickinson, Newtown, Connecticut. 12 Dick Sons, Newtown. Okay, New World Order, New Age. Okay, 12 Dick Sons. Who are the 12 Dick Sons? Well, the 12 Dick Sons are commonly referred to as the 12 tribes of Israel. Well, who's the leader of the 12 tribes of Israel? Well, that would be the 13th tribe, Ephraim. There's your signature. 12 Dickinson. The Dick Sons, why are they the Dick Sons? Well, they're the Dick Sons because of the symbolism of the obelisk, which is the phallus. The phallus, which is the representation of the serpent seeding the sacred feminine that creates this descendancy known as the Nephilim that evolves into the Elites, aka Illuminati. Alright, so the signature's there. The signature's there on the Sandy Hook. You don't believe it? Watch my video series on it. Watch my video series on the Sandy Hook, whatever it was. Now we can see the connection with this James Holmes. At least it's readily available when you view the symbolage with the red hair. Okay? There is a signature on this conspiracy. Somebody has authored this act, and the name James Holmes is it. James is the English form of Jacob. James being the English form of Jacob. Now we know that we have talked about this Ephraim in reference to the assemblage of the English, at least the secret society members of the English that had founded the United States. So this reference for James being the English form of Jacob is right on point, is it not? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the house of Jacob. Is not a home, a house. James Holmes. Jacob's house. There's your signature right there. Jacob's house, once again, a conspiracy, a deception aimed with the symbolage against the Edomites, and that symbolage would be red hair. Once again, they are trying to bend the public's subconsciousness towards a reasoning of their making. James, English form of Jacob. James Holmes, the red-haired suspected murderer, is really just another deception of the house of Jacob. Incredible. Incredible. Now, you know, I could really do a lot better video on that information. I could do a little chart. I could show you a few more little pictures. I could combine some stuff from the Sandy Hook video. But these videos are already up. Ephraim and Manasseh, USA, UK. Watch on the playlist. Background information on Ephraim, the English. Everything concerning the blessings that Jacob bestowed upon him in Genesis chapter 48, 49. Matter of fact, we'll look into that a little further. Another video series would be the Great Seal of Ephraim. Check that out. There's a whole lot of stuff that you guys need to be looking into. The Sandy Hook video series that I did, that's up. Check that out. Alright, now let's show you an interesting connection. Now, if you don't have the background information connecting the descendancy or the adopted descendancy of Ephraim and Manasseh into the 12 tribes, being that Ephraim and Manasseh are of Egyptian royal lineage on the mother's side. Guess what? Sacred feminine. This is how Ephraim is exalted to the chief tribe leader position. He is the leader of the 12 tribes. He's the 13th member. There's something very interesting about that we'll save for another time so that I can kind of remember here. It's hard for me to keep track of all this. So what I'm trying to say here is you will need to understand Ephraim's connection to his Egyptian heritage in this house of gold associated with the white brotherhood of Karnak. This white is very important because, as I've told you, it's connected to the sacred feminine. It connects back to Genesis 6. It's the interpretation of the word fair. We also know that the monatomic gold was described as a white thing using the term whore. Okay, this hoarfrost, whore represents white. So now we get a further representation for these daughters of the sons of men that were chosen that were white. They were light. They were fair. Now this is even going to go further to the connection of their hair. But we will use genetics to understand that. We will understand the 2/3 more genetic material that is passed to the offspring from the mother. So the major hereditary traits, hair being one of them, comes from your mother's side. And this is how we'll be able to track the identity and the description of the true Nephilim, which will put to rest this red-headed business as having anything to do with it other than a deception. Okay, so what I want to show you is concerning here this Wendy's cup once again. Something to do with the white that you've already seen the transformation take place. Okay, well, this is not some sort of condemning of white peoples, of course. I would be considered what is white, right? It's not about that. It's about an ideology. It's about an ideology that exceeds racial and cultural barriers. But yet at the same time, it deceives within these same racial and cultural barriers and creates more slaves to do more labor to basically put the slave master on top. And we know who the slave master is. It's the fallen prince of this world. So he's devised a system of deception to create workers to do things in this world that he was denied from doing himself because he could not affect our free will. Therefore, he has used these false laborers, these false teachers, and these false witnesses to bend to distort the consciousness of man. And they all think that they're doing something good. I just really don't realize any longer, if you've been watching this channel, how you think you can. So notice that we go from the singular character interpretation. But once we begin to look at this from a new perception, the character begins to separate itself into two separate identities that fulfill itself once again with the main themes of the sacred feminine. And that would be the Jeshurun and the Boaz column. That would be the beauty and the beast. That would be the alternating polarities. That would be the fire and the water. The fish is the water. There is the fire. Perfect assemblage. Now I want you to see what's taking place. They believe that by unifying this fire and this water together, they're going to be made as gods. This white brotherhood, this white house of Karnak. And now we see this white fish is being unified with the fire, but it's more or less for a fish fry. And Jesus Christ is warning you. The Spirit of Truth is warning you through the seers and all of the true prophets that have been in touch with the Paradise Father's words, the living Spirit, the living manifestation of God. You are being warned. The moon is the sin god. This representation of these workers that are working for this labor of sin to bring this fire from the moon are basically bringing this upon them themselves. It's showing you this. It's showing you this without a doubt. It's showing you this within your own relative ability to receive. The Spirit is speaking to you in your own terms. It's using your own symbols. It's using your own philosophies and trying to reach you and teach you and show you what's to come if you choose this path for yourself. If you choose to unify the supposed good and evil, this is the outcome that you have coming for you. From the frying pan to the fire. But I tell you this, your soul is safe. Jesus Christ will bring you to a righteous judgment, and you'll be judged righteously and mercifully. And I can guarantee you, I'll tell you, I see your future. You will select to worship and fall before the feet of Jesus Christ the moment that you realize him. And that's a scriptural fact. That's exactly what it says in the New Testament of the Bible. That the Father's wish is for all those who see Jesus to love and worship him. Well, my friends, you see him on the other side. Everybody does. Everybody is resurrected to a judgment. This judgment and righteousness, at that point, that's when you see him. I guess for some, seeing is believing. Well, the Father is going to grant you your wish on the real other side, not the dark side of the moon. So we see the signature for Jacob's war against Esau, the chief Ephraim descendancy, to carry this war out and being used as assemblage to wage war on what it believes to be as the undesirables of the world. That just basically translates as the masses. The masses. They believe there's this overpopulation, and in reality it's based upon their own leading and guiding and directing of world affairs. Okay, it's more of their own handiwork that they're trying to blame and basically judge everyone else for. There's so much more to say. There's so much more to say there. Don't forget the fact that we see these little piggy tails. It's just so incredible that then turn into the tares. I mean, it's just unreal. So just like with the Shrek and the donkey, two combined characters, we saw that they were trying to convey a meaning. Now the Spirit of Truth is going to approach you within your own philosophical capacity to receive and is giving you a message. I want you to realize fish don't got red hair. We see this fish is white. It is entering into the fire, and it's doing it by its own choice. And this choice comes about through the rejection of Jesus Christ. There is no other way. There is no other way. So, think a little bit more deeply about what we showed with James Holmes. Now you see that is a coded signature for the house of Jacob, who rules this house of Jacob, which would be Ephraim. Ephraim is Mystery Babylon, which represents confusion. Everything about Sandy Hook, everything about the coded movie theater shooting, everything about the Boston Marathon, everything about all of this is confusion. And the one thing that can take all that away is the Spirit of Truth. It's done it for me. I know that it can do it for you. It can bring you to that new vista, an ever higher vista with a continually expanding horizon. All right, now I'll briefly show you guys, and there's more here to show you with the cup, but it just gets so much to talk about that we'll just have to save it for some other portions in this video. I want to show you, coming up here, some more historical references with all this. I'm not going to do it in this video. Keep this one short. This will be Genesis chapter 48, and we're going to look at 49. If you want to see the details about this, go to the video series on the playlist Ephraim and Manasseh, USA, UK. Matter of fact, watch anything with the title Ephraim in it. Okay, and this will further explain all of this. I'm just showing you where you can touch base on this descendancy known as Ephraim and Manasseh being born unto Joseph from Egyptian royalty on their mother's side. In other words, the sacred feminine. It's coming through this Egyptian descendancy. And you'll see it all here in Genesis chapter 48 through 49. Okay? Basically, we see the assemblage for them being brought into the house of Israel being done by the crossing of the arms on verse 13, which is symbolic of the pharaohs of ancient Egypt. More importantly, it's the main symbolism with Osiris. We see that taking place on verse 13. As we go forward, we eventually see where Jacob blesses them above all the other brethren, the true 12 tribes, at least the blood descendants, and somehow elects to give Ephraim the chief position and blessing over the entirety of the house of Israel. And he's not even a full-blood descendant. Well, you realize why in understanding the sacred feminine and understanding the symbolism of the X. And now you know that representation of the crossing, the X, the crossing of the genetics, which is the XX, the double crossing of this planet, the XX chromosome that is designating the genetic affiliation of the female. Okay, so as we move further, this is where you begin to see about Dan being symbolized as a serpent, and he is going to judge his people. And this is where the fulfillment of the scripture will be fulfilled, as Jesus Christ referred, where he describes that, this strong man is going to come up against this other armed strong man at his palace, and he's going to spoil his goods. And then we've yet to show some scriptures where Jesus Christ talks about loosing the ass, or leading once they've been loosed. He says that Israel, in essence, looses them, but Jesus is going to lead the oxen to water. We know where that water is. It's on Shinar. It's on the moon. Everything that we learned about Laodicea, they've been bringing water to the moon. Now we move forward, and this is where you find out, and this is what they're trying to cover up. We see that the descendant Ephraim is considered the shepherd of Israel. Verse 24, but his bow abode in strength in his arms, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. Now, this is talking about the descendancy of Joseph. The chief descendant, which has already been made and said by Jacob, is Ephraim, given the name Israel. Now we see that Ephraim is considered the shepherd. This is where Ephraim is the idol shepherd. And he's seeking to hide this once again and pass this off to Esau in assemblage, the goyim, the masses, the consumers. Okay? And then now we see that this is where Ephraim is being given the assemblage of the stone of Israel. This is who Truth Stone is representing. This stone of Israel, the false shepherd, the idol shepherd. And he reflects that well. So the stone of Israel, of course, is Ephraim. Now we see that makes perfect fractal sense for Ephraim being the one to cast this stone at what they believe to be the sinners. And as you know, in all actuality, they're the sinners. They're on the daggone moon, which is called sin, doing this work and this labor. The wages of sin is death. You got fear in you? Because if you don't have Jesus, that's the only thing you got in you right now. If you are a part of this murderous plot, I'm warning you. I'm absolutely warning you. I don't care what happens to me. I'm not seeking to save my life. It is the majority of these deceivers that are seeking to save their life. What does Jesus Christ say? Those that seek their life are going to lose it. And those that lose it for my sake are going to gain it. Okay? Do what you will to me. Do what you will to this body. I'm not this body. I am that spirit that accepts the promise of the Eternal One. And I'm going to do His will. There's so much more to say. We go on. It's a representation of the lotus flower, assemblage of the rising of the chakra. You saw that symbolized to you in that I Pet Goat video. Think about what they're getting you to say when you say the title of that. I Pet Goat. You're a pet goat. I'm not a pet goat. Okay? But we see that they are trying to make many pet goats and that they got many pet goats working for them. Hosea said it best. Ephraim hath hired many lovers. And that would be these agents that are actually in way over their head. Way over their head. As they so do rightly see. All right, my friends. Really the basis of just showing these few things to you here from Genesis 48-49. I know I didn't take a lot of time to explain this, but like I said, you can find the full explanation in all of the other biblical scripture that'll back it up. The story about Jacob's well that you see Jesus Christ denounces, everything that would connect us back to the source of their supposed enlightenment, which is this abysmal water, which is associated with the Apsu, which is associated with the fallen prince, connected back to Leviathan. Okay, you'll see all of that, and that's in a connection with this blessings of the deep that lieth under. All right, we know what's in this deep that lieth under, that has been sealed, that has been bound. Okay, and it's not giving blessings, it's giving curses. Okay, it's the curse of the flying roll. All right, now that does validate. It validates spiritual truth and spiritual manifestation that you're seeing. That I hope that you will review these videos again in order. Realize that I'm putting up these videos on the playlist in order, and that I add other videos from other series that are relative to it, and that you should watch this on the playlist so that you can watch the videos in order. There's only a brief moment of a pause in between each video. It's really the best way to watch them. So realize this, guys, that these that are trying to use this good for evil and evil for good are going to reach the full recompense of that. You know, they're going to get their wish. It's just so interesting how this red-headed individual is now, that the blame is being put on, is now turning into the true recompense of the matter. You know, it's just unreal. This is why Jesus Christ refers to his disciples as the fishers of men. We're to pull these fish from the fire. We're to pull them from the abysmal waters. We're to bring them to the truth, the common sense understanding of love and mercy and compassion and forgiveness that don't have anything to do with any special club. You know, I like to do things in my life on my own, that they're my own personal achievements. I don't need a club to get me to any special status in this world. If I did have that, I wouldn't feel like I was standing on my own. I wouldn't be being led by the Spirit, you know? Being led by the Spirit is truly just that, you know? Being led by the Spirit, not by the doctrines of men, into the fires of hell. I'll be back.